Okay, I'm about to assemble the duct tube that I made from a dryer vent to the blower motor. I've got myself a caulk gun and some caulking here. I'm going to put a thin layer of caulk around here, and then I'm going to bolt it together. So I'll be back in a second as soon as I got the caulk on to show you what I mean by thin layer. This stuff doesn't have to be thick because this thing is going to clamp down pretty tight together. Just enough to keep air from flowing through there. That's what I'm looking for, a good seal instead of air squirting around on me. I'm going to do the same thing up there when I mount the motor to the back of the cabinet. I'm going to put a thin layer of caulk around the outside of the motor to keep things from leaking. So, back in bed. Again, this is what I meant by thin layer. If you take a look at that, there isn't much there at all. It's because if you use too much, it's just going to squirt out everywhere and make a mess. So there's no point in doing that. So I'm using a pretty thin layer. Alright, I'm going to put this thing together and show you the end results in a bit. Okay, I'm going to show you why I said a thin layer. Even with the little bit that I'm using, you can see some still manage to squirt out. Not a lot, but some did come out in various places, and I'm cleaning it up with a paper towel. I don't know what that stuff is, but probably just general purpose caulking. Cleaning it up with a paper towel. Down in the tube, you can see some squirted out a little bit in the tube too. On the inside, if we can get some good lighting, you can see some, like right in there. So I put almost precisely the right amount on that thing. Okay? So don't put a lot. I'm going to put a lot when I put the blower motor on, but that's a different story. Because I need a good seal around the edge of this thing right here. Okay? Because this is where it's sucking air, and I don't need it sucking all the air from the back of the cabinet. I want it sucking all the air from the inside the cabinet. Alright, I'm about to caulk that up and start bolting this thing on there. Once I get this bolted on, I just have to fix electrical, and then we can talk about venting through the back window. Okay, I test fitted the holes. I could get the screws started, which is the important part. So I put the caulking up on here. That's probably way more than I need. I also determined from feeling my fingers around that I can put the caulking on the inside. I'll have to get some gloves when I do that because I really don't want to get that caulking on my fingers. So we'll just leave that. We're going to bolt the motor up. Once that motor's bolted up, I can move this cabinet back in the house and start doing electrical. Okay, got the motor on her finally. That was not a lot of fun. For some reason the 4 holes didn't line up properly. Well, they did, but they didn't. It just took a lot of finagling. And then one time, everything just went together perfectly, beautifully. All my measurements worked out perfect. This thing's sitting right exactly where I would expect it to be sitting. Still have to wire it in because the wires are still loose. You drill a hole here for the plug. One guy, Scott over at Elm City Hobbies, he put a computer plug in the back of this case so he could use a computer extension cord on it. I don't have one of those laying around. Now would be a good time to do that, but I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm just going to wire the extension cord back in like I had it. But that is a great idea. That way you don't have a cord dangling around when you move the thing. But you can see she's in. I got to patch that hole, drill a hole for the cords, run some caulking around that motor housing. Once I'm done with all of those, I can drag her inside and start rewiring everything. Rewiring won't take long. Also, patching up my aluminum tape won't take long either. That's just a matter of minutes. So I'm almost done with this project. Well, the booth part. I still have to get a vent through a wall or window somehow. That will be fun. We'll discuss that later. Okay, I'm starting to work on the electrical. For the wire that runs to the fan motor, I just cut off a piece of extension cord instead of getting out my box of household wiring. The household wiring has a weird coating on it, and I don't think it'll look good on the back of the box. This will look good on the back of the box. It's pretty heavy gauge. I bought a really heavy gauge extension cord. I bought a really long extension cord. So I'm not going to have any problems with having a lack of wire. I have plenty of wire to reach where I need to. So I'm going to get started on this. The motor does require that it is grounded, so I'm going to have to tie in this green wire on it. Okay? Be back in a bit. Well, I have the wiring done. I just need to clean the wiring up in here because it's kind of a tangled mess, and reseal up the edges of this thing and patch that hole. As you can see, the lights come on. You can hear that fan start up. She's a little bit louder than the other one, but boy, does it move a lot more air. I mean, it sets everything moving around in the room. Okay? Haven't tried the accessory switch, but since I never touch any of that wiring, that should be fine. So, I'm going to get this all cleaned up, and then discuss how I'm going to get the air outside this window. I may not get to that for a couple of weeks, so I'm going to discuss that and put it up on YouTube right away. Alright. Okay. I have everything put back together. Again, lights work. Fan works. I haven't tried the accessory plug, but I didn't touch that wiring. Okay. I have the exhaust pipe bolted on. It's going towards the window. This is what I plan on doing with the window. Taking 2 sheets of plywood, 1 exterior grade on the outside, 1 left over from when I built this cabinet. Between the 2 sheets of plywood, I'm going to put a piece of insulating foam. I'm going to bolt the plywood on either side of that window and fix that window permanently open. I'm going to use carriage bolts. Carriage bolts don't have a head on one side. They have a square knob which you sink into the wood, which means on the outside you don't have purchase on the bolt. You have to be on this side to get the bolt undone. That should render this window to the point where it'd be easier to break one of my other windows to get in than to mess with this window. And that's what I want. I just want to make it harder for them to come through this window than something else. And then I can bolt that up to an exhaust vent in the center of the window with the foam in there. It'll be insulated almost as well as the double pane glass does, and I don't have to worry about it. The view out this window is just so lovely that, you know, I'm worried about bolting over the window. That was sarcasm if you didn't catch it. Well, there we go. I will videotape that part, but that part might be 3 or 4 weeks away. I'm not in a hurry to get to that part. For right now, I can just open the window and stick that tube through the open window to vent to the outside. About to give this thing a try. I got to put some future on a model. So, thanks for watching. Okay, just in case I didn't have it on video before, here is a reason why I put the pegboard in the back. So I can hang a model from the back instead of just setting it on the bottom as I'm spraying it. Okay? That really will simplify my trying to stick a lot of parts out. I got a whole bunch of alligator clips coming. I'm going to take a bunch of these things and put alligator clips on the end of them so I can just stick parts everywhere. Alright? And I gave the booth a try. The new fan works excellent. Very rarely is any spray back coming out of the booth. So, it was definitely worth the upgrade. Alright. Thank you.